Hello there. Dr. Bill Crawford here, psychologist, speaker, author of 8 books, host of 2 PBS specials. Here again to bring you another tip on how to help you create the life you want. Specifically, how to use my life from the top of the mind philosophy to bring more clarity, confidence, creativity into everything you do. I'm here in my virtual studio today. I want to kind of talk a little bit about this idea of breaking the cycle of stress, anxiety, resentment, the stuff that kind of sometimes, I think often, gets in the way of our clarity, confidence, and creativity. So in doing so, I want to do something that I do in my seminars. I like to work with a kind of representation of this cycle. So in my seminars, what I do is I ask my participants, hey, what are those situations that kind of trigger your stress? What bugs you? What stresses you out? What gets under your nerves? And we create a list of these. And I say, okay, when we find ourselves dealing with all this stuff, how do we find ourselves reacting? And we create a list of those. So these are the problem triggers. These are the problem reactions. I call this whole thing real life because I really want to be able to deal with your real life experiences and the what. When I'm doing a presentation, I want to talk to people about what I call new information about the what, the why, and the how. It's a great quote from Albert Einstein that I really love that says, problems cannot be solved at the same level of awareness that created them. So I want to bring people new information about the what, the why, and the how. So this is designed to represent the what. So what I'd like for you to do, if you want to make this meaningful to you, just imagine that any situation, any type of person or type of situation that has ever triggered your stress, frustration, whatever, is on this list. If it's not on this list, just imagine that it is. So when I'm asking my seminar participants, hey, what are the things that bug you, stress you out? Well, hey, if you're watching this in the middle of the COVID-19 experience, that's at the top of the list. The economy, man, isolation, being kind of stuck at home. There's a lot of polarization going on in our country today, and that really can trigger people to a certain degree. Difficult people. This is something that everybody talks about, no matter where we are, dealing with people who are stubborn, irrational, won't listen, argumentative. That can be a trigger. Maybe kids, maybe family, or maybe it's worrying about our kids and our family that's the trigger. Uncertainty, that's something that everybody's dealing with now, but I think all the time when we feel this uncertainty, what happens is that begins to trigger the stress. Deadlines, deadbeats, in-laws, outlaws, lack of business, all this stuff. So again, just allow this list to represent any situation that has ever triggered you, got under your skin, etc. So when we're dealing with this stuff, I ask my seminar participants, hey, how do we find ourselves reacting? Well, hey, we get stressed, we get frustrated, we get anxious, angry, we get to worry, resentful, confused, annoyed, lose focus, lose sleep, get depressed, drives us crazy. So again, what I like for you to do is just allow this list to represent any way we have found ourselves reacting to the triggers in our life. So obviously, this is the trigger, this is the reaction, this triggers this. Makes sense, right? Now, we don't like feeling stressed, frustrated, angry. So when we feel this, we go over here and try to change whatever made us feel that way in the first place. And hey, anytime you can change some situation and feel better about it, I'm a big fan of that. But have you noticed what's going on here? Difficult people, COVID-19, the economy, deadlines. There's a lot of things over here that we can't change. And when we try to change something and we can't, that triggers a whole nother reaction. But this reaction now is more intense because there's a sense of frustration or powerlessness to it, which often has us doubling down on the stress, the frustration, trying to use this to deal with this. And of course we can't, because we really can't deal with life when we're stressed, frustrated, and angry. That makes the original trigger seem worse, which triggers another reaction, which makes it seem worse, and triggers another reaction, and reaction, and worse, reaction, and worse, reaction, and worse, until something explodes. And this is what I call the cycle of stress, frustration, anxiety, and resentment. And what I think is important to recognize is it's really the cycle that's the what? It's the cycle that's the problem. Because, hey, if we just got a little stressed, we could then flip up to clarity, confidence, and creativity. Hey, where's the problem? But it's getting caught in this cycle, I think, that a lot of people find themselves experiencing, and it makes it so frustrating because we don't know the why. We actually don't even know the what, because we think this is making us feel that way. Unfortunately, if we hold on to that perspective, that belief, we've got to change this before we can change how we feel. So what I do is I talk to people about, okay, this is the what, and we want to break the cycle. Now, in order to break the cycle, we got to understand the why. Why is this so common? So when I'm teaching people around the country or in my books and my counseling, I talk about how the brain processes information. This is this new information that I bring to my seminars and my clients, because I have found a system, a philosophy. I have created this over the last 35 years that actually shows people how to access their clarity, confidence, and creativity by accessing a specific part of the brain. Now, to avoid the stress, frustration, anxiety, the stuff that gets in the way of our clarity, confidence, and creativity by avoiding a specific part of the brain. I call this system Life from the Top of the Mind. I've written a book about it. I get to go around the world teaching it, and it's the why in my system. So it's not just that this triggers this. What's going on is this middle brain. It's called the limbic system. Some people call it the emotional brain. What it's doing is scanning the environment, looking for signs of danger or anything negative, because its mission on the planet is to keep us alive as a species. Unfortunately, it's not very smart, and it's working with old software. So it has a tendency to interpret almost anything negative as dangerous and throws us into the part of the brain that's designed to deal with danger. That's the brainstem. Unfortunately, when we try to deal with life from this lower reactive brain, we're just not very successful because we don't have access to our best interpersonal skills, problem-solving skills. Clarity, confidence, creativity comes from the neocortex, what I call the top of the mind. So what I like to do in helping people break the cycle isn't just become less stressed or less frustrated, less angry. Because frankly, a lot of people come to me and ask me that, hey, Bill, man, I just want to be less angry, less frustrated, less stressed. But I have found just being less of that doesn't really solve the problem. A lot of people are using box breathing or kind of meditation to break the cycle, and I think that's great. But a lot of people tell me, okay, I can kind of find myself feeling less stressed after breathing deeply, whatever. But that anxiety, that frustration, that's kind of lying in my body somewhere. It's kind of still there, and it starts to come back. So when I'm talking about breaking the cycle, I'm not talking about being less of this. In fact, when I'm working with people in my seminars, I say, okay, if we don't want to feel stressed, frustrated, anxious, overwhelmed, whatever, how do we want to feel? And I get them to give me some ways of being. So, hey, they talk about feeling, okay, I want to be more confident, I want to be more calm, creative, optimistic, clear, authentic. I love this authentic part. So we're not faking something. There's a great quote from Sidney Poitier that says, you don't have to become someone you're not to become better than you are. So I'm not trying to change anybody in here into somebody you're not. I just want you to be able to access your best in this authentic way, so you're not having to fake something. Kind, influential, purposeful, resilient, flexible, productive, in control, empathetic. Now, you might have a different list here, but I think we can all agree this is going to help us be more effective. Plus, there's a question that I really love to ask or have people ask when I'm in my seminars. When we're feeling stressed or frustrated or annoyed or angry, we go, okay, all right, I can understand why I'm feeling that, but is it really working for me? Is this how I want to be defined? The one I love, what I teach or recommend this way of being to someone I love? See, I think that really bottom lines it, because frankly, I've yet to meet anyone that would teach someone they love to be stressed, angry, frustrated, overwhelmed. So I call these questions the 4 criteria. Are we doing it on purpose? Is it really working for me? Is this how I want to be defined? And would I teach or recommend it to someone I love? I think we can look at this list and say no. However, let's look at this list. Does it meet the 4 criteria? Chosen on purpose? I think we can agree this will help us be more effective. Certainly can define us in the way that we feel good about it. Isn't this exactly what we would teach to those we love? So when I'm talking about breaking the cycle, I'm not just talking about being less of this. In fact, if we're going to break the cycle, let's break the cycle. How valuable would it be if in the future, after learning the system, learning this way of being, you could respond to this like this? Now, notice what we're doing here. I'm not just talking about being less of this, and I'm not talking about just reacting differently. See, this is a reaction. We're reacting. We've been this way in the past, and we find ourselves doing it. It has to do with the neural pathways in the brain. This is a response. And response comes from the word spondere. It's Latin. It means to pledge or to sponsor. So I think one of the things we've got to ask ourselves is, what are the qualities and characteristics I want to bring to my life? What do I want to pledge? What do I want to sponsor? And then when we begin to say, okay, who am I when I am being this way? then we're not just breaking the cycle and becoming less stressed. We are actually defining ourselves and bringing qualities and characteristics to life that we would recommend to those we love. Now, living this part of the brain and these qualities and characteristics, dealing with other people, especially difficult people like that, that's a big deal. So this is just the first part of my system. But if you find this valuable and you feel this would be valuable for your family, your organization, your school, I would love to come and teach this to you. It's what I love to do. I go around the world teaching people how to access their best by accessing a specific part of the brain. And again, not telling you how you're supposed to be, but giving you the opportunity to not just break the cycle by being less of this, but be able to access your highest purpose, your best in making this work. So if this is something you think you'd like, feel free to contact me. You can just go to my website, billcrawfordphd.com, or just Google Bill Crawford, Ph.D. I'll come up on the first page. Hit the contact button. Let me know what you're interested in. Love to talk with you about that. In the meantime, I hope you're enjoying the videos. I try to post one every week. Feel free to subscribe here. I try to post them on, of course, YouTube and Facebook and LinkedIn and Pinterest and iTunes and Twitter and everywhere I can. So feel free to find me wherever you like your social media, because I do one of these every week. And if you would like me to come and do something for your organization, just let me know. Love to do that. In the meantime, here's to you, bringing more clarity, confidence, creativity into everything you do. And I look forward to seeing you in the future.